Hello, I'm the Moon Guy, and today we're gonna talk about the sun, what this symbol, this archetype represents in astrology. So, most people know their sun sign. If someone asks you, what's your sign? Or if someone says, I'm a Taurus, I'm a Sagittarius, they are referring to their sun sign, even if they're not fully aware of it. And the sun, together with the moon and the ascendant, they are in astrology considered core elements that compose the person's personality. Specifically with the sun, it is connected with our sense of individuality and identity. So it is pretty relevant. What happens occasionally is that some people, they will read or hear about the characteristics of their sun sign, and they might relate to one or two of them, but they might not fully relate to it. And some people use this to discredit astrology. But there are reasons why this can happen. To start with, we are not just our sun sign. We are, of course, much more layered and intricate creatures. With the birth chart, this is very visible because the sign in which our sun is only one of the many components of the birth chart. That sun will fall in one of the 12 houses, will probably make aspects to other planets, and then you also have all those other planets, Mercury, Venus, Saturn, and so on, that they will fall in other zodiac signs and make other aspects to other planets. There are also specific features that can get in the way of this process of the person relating and connecting with their sun energy. For instance, if someone is born with sun in the 12th house, which is the house of the unconscious, it's probably going to take more time and effort for the person to acknowledge and tap into this energy. Also, if the person has other planets making hard aspects, so maybe a square, an opposition to their sun, this also indicates that the person has certain challenges and certain homework to be done so that the person can express that solar principle. The symbol of the sun is connected with the idea of journey. So it is much more of a process rather than a fixed set of behaviors. It is related with the type of lessons and traits that the person throughout their whole life are gonna probably engage with, explore, and express. So no one is born fully aware and expressing their sun sign energy. The sun is also a centralizing component. It gives us the sensation that we are unique and separate from others. It is related with our vitality, with our sense of identity, and to what we call in astrology, in psychology, the ego, which is basically our more conscious part of ourselves, of our psyche. It is important that we have and build and create a strong enough ego so that we can maintain and preserve a sense of individuality and purpose, especially when we're going through difficult situations and periods of our life. But it is also very important that our ego is flexible enough, so porous, not too rigid, so that it's able to encapsulate all those different dimensions and aspects of our personality, which are sometimes quite contradictory. The sun is connected to what role we're called upon to play in this life and which unique contribution we can make so that we find our personal channels to express that energy. So for instance, I'm a Cancer, so my life is going to be a lot about finding my own personal ways through which I can express and give meaning to the traits related with the Cancerian archetype. And we all have unexpressed dimensions of our sun, because again, the sun is a symbol for the journey. So it is a constant state of becoming, and there's never an end point. There's never a point where someone will be 100% aware of themselves with nothing else to explore. Envy can be a very interesting kind of situation or emotion that we can connect with our sun principle. If we are, of course, honest enough and brave enough to engage and accept those kinds of feelings. For instance, when we admire and we would like to have a personality trait that someone else has. What we envy is normally related with something that we value very highly. Those are tend to be very strong indicators of those untapped and yet unexpressed dimensions of our personality, especially our sun principle. The less aware we are of something from within, the more likely it will end up being acted out in a more compulsive, out of control, unconscious way. And this will tend to, unfortunately, take away our options for choice. So, for instance, if someone is an Aries with an Aries sun, those Arian characteristics, for instance, competitiveness, assertiveness, aggression, they will still be there with the person. They don't go anywhere just because the person decides to, or for some reason is having difficulties tapping into those characteristics and more intentionally and consciously channeling them. And those situations, they tend to trigger what we call the shadow side of the zodiac signs. And they're shadowy because we cannot see them very well. They are a bit unconscious. We're not familiar with them. And they're also connected with trickier aspects of that archetype. So in that example, the Aries person might end up unconsciously expressing their competitiveness through manipulation or even violence. The sun aspects, so the planets that will be making direct contact with our sun in our charts, they will be, of course, very prominent in our personality, and they will color our sense of identity, and they become sort of inner figures that will either facilitate and accelerate or block and be on the way of our process of exploring that solar energy. The sun aspects, they're also a lot connected with our experience of a father figure in our childhood. And each family has their own constellation, so it's not necessarily going to be our biological father, although many times it is. So both the father figure and the solar principle, they're pretty much connected with the formation of our ego when we are babies and when we are little. Because the father is supposed to hopefully become an attractive enough outsider that helps us cut and break with the symbiosis that we're having with our mother when we are babies. So here, the symbol of the sun is also connected with spirit, with self-consciousness, with adventure, with growth. And one last thing I wanted to mention, also to bring a little bit of Greek mythology, is about Apollo, of course. He is the sun god, and amongst other things, he is known for being the breaker of family curses. He's the only deity whose power can break the grip of the Furies. And the Furies, they are three relatively creepy goddesses connected to vengeance. When someone upsets the gods, they basically come and punish them, and sometimes killing them awfully, basically. So a family curse in myth normally begins when someone offends a god. And psychologically and astrologically, this is connected to a situation when someone either denies or for some reason represses one of their own inner archetype principles. And this can be connected with unexpressed feelings, with traumas, ambitions, or dreams that are frustrated, unfulfilled. And those they tend to unconsciously pass on from parents to their children. And sometimes it goes on and on through generations. So the more we tap into our solar principle, the more we feel autonomous and separate beings from where we come from our family, the less likely we're going to be at the mercy of those compulsions and those patterns that we inherit unconsciously from our family. So basically, the more we value ourselves, the less likely we are to rush into fulfilling someone else's dreams and expectations. And the less guilty we're going to feel about being us and following what's important for us and accomplishing whatever we conquer in life. Well, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you are interested in astrology, if you want to book a consultation, please visit my website, thechartery.com, and subscribe to my channel. Give me some likes, and that's it. Ciao, ciao.